Yo, what's good, everybody? It's your boy Unico Williams back with another episode of Do You Hear Me with Unico Williams. Special, the Diddy trial. That's right, I am the judge, I am the prosecutor, I am all lawyers, I am all things in the courtroom. I am watching I'm watching the trial and keeping up with it all day. So you don't have to. And I just compile everything and just put it in one little neat little about 30 minute video. Um, that's how we get down. So make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube. Unico Williams, that's my name. Please make sure you like and subscribe. I appreciate when you do that. Now, we're at the finish line. Today, the judges giving the charge papers and the instructions to the jury. I'm going to read those. And we're going to go about this together, right? We're going to go about this together because I want you all to pretend you're the jury based off of everything that we've done ever since day one of testimony, all the way up until just this last Friday. I want us all to read what the judge is telling the jury that they're supposed to be looking at as far as their instructions go. So with that being said, that's the mindset that the jury is going to have. So let's take a look and see what the judge was telling them, and then we'll see if you guys are on the money about it. So let's get to it. Shout out to P Diddy trial updates for helping me keep this place marker. Again, make sure that you like and subscribe to them too. But let's get to it. So the jury. So this is like 7 hours ago. So the jury deliberations will begin shortly. Jurors are facing the heavy task of reviewing all 5 federal charges against Diddy: racketeering, conspiracy, 2 counts of sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, and 2 counts of transportation for prostitution. The 12-member jury is made up of 8 men and 4 women, aged 30 to 74, hailing from Manhattan, the Bronx, and Westchester County. Their professional backgrounds span from investment analysts to massage therapists, offering a diverse cross section of New York City life. Last week, Thursday, prosecutors wrapped up their closing arguments by portraying Combs as the leader of a criminal enterprise, emphasizing this point with testimony from more than 30 witnesses, including Cassie Ventura and 2 anonymous accusers identified as Jane and Mia. Then on Friday, Diddy's defense, led by attorney Mark Agnifilo, argued that the prosecution's case lacked solid evidence and claimed the government was unfairly targeting the Bad Boy Records founder. Today, Judge Arun Subramanian will deliver instructions to the jury. The decision making processes should take hours or several days. A unanimous verdict is required to convict. So the judge takes the bench and proceedings are set to begin. All rise. I'm going to read you the charge. It's lengthy, but I'll do my best to keep it engaging. At this point, you've heard all the evidence and the closing arguments from both sides. Now it's my duty to instruct you on the law as it applies to this case. Remember, the evidence consists of the testimony you heard, the answers given, and the exhibits that were presented. The attorney's arguments. One moment, I gotta take this, y'all. I'm sorry. Sorry about that. It is important. Sorry. So anyway, getting back to it. Um, so remember, the evidence consists of the testimony you heard, the answers given, and the exhibits that were presented. The attorney's arguments are not evidence. You, the jurors, are the sole and exclusive judges of the facts in this case. Now, what is reasonable doubt? It's not a guess or a hunch. It's a doubt based on reason and common sense after you carefully consider all the evidence. As jurors, it's your job to evaluate each witness's credibility, to assess the truth and significance of their testimony, consider their demeanor, consistency, and reliability. In other words, size them up. That's your decision to make. Sean Combs has been formally charged in an indictment, but let me be clear, an indictment is not evidence. It's simply a formal accusation. Now, let me walk you through the charges. Count 1, allegedly, from 2004 to 2024, the defendant operated a racketeering enterprise. Count 2, between 2009 and 2018, he is charged with sex trafficking of Cassandra Ventura. It's a reach. Also, between 2009 and 2018, he is accused of transporting individuals, including but not limited to Ventura, for the purpose of prostitution. Count 4, from 2019 to 2024, the charge is sex trafficking of an individual identified as Jane. Count 5, within that same time period, is charged with transporting individuals, including Jane, for the purpose of prostitution. Each count is separate and must be considered individually. As for the charge of attempt, the government must prove both intent and that the defendant took a substantial step towards committing the crime. Mere intention alone is not enough. To find someone guilty of aiding and abetting, the government must prove that the defendant knowingly took some action to assist, encourage, or facilitate the commission of a crime. Mere presence or association is not enough. Now, regarding the RICO charge, count 1. The prosecution must establish that between 2004 and 2024, there was an agreement between two or more individuals to conduct a racketeering enterprise that affected interstate commerce. They must also prove that the defendant joined the conspiracy and personally committed at least 2 predicate acts. These could include crimes such as sex trafficking, transportation for prostitution, or other offenses listed under RICO statutes. The government doesn't need to show a formal written agreement. A mutual understanding to cooperate is enough, and you may infer its existence from the circumstances of this case. As the saying goes, actions may speak louder than words. You're allowed to consider the behavior and acts of anyone you find to be a participant in an alleged enterprise to determine whether there was a shared plan or purpose. So, as the judge continues speaking, a few people in the courtroom appear to be nodding off. One is even snoring. Combs is seated quietly, focused and attentive. Behind him are all 6 of his adult children in their usual seats. If you determine that the Combs enterprise existed, you must then decide whether it continued in a substantially similar form from 2004 to 2024. The individuals involved may have changed over time, but continuity in structure and purpose is key. Regarding the defendant, you must also determine whether he knew of the enterprise's existence and knowingly participated in it. I'm not seeing it, y'all. I'm really not seeing it. The government alleges 8 predicate offenses under RICO: kidnapping, arson, bribery, witness tampering, forced labor, sex trafficking, transportation for prostitution, and intent to distribute narcotics. It doesn't feel like it's gonna stick, y'all. It really doesn't. To meet the legal requirement, the prosecution must prove at least 2 of these offenses occurred within a 10-year period. Kidnapping, not considered kidnapping if the victim consented, but consent can be withdrawn at any time. That's tricky. Arson, under California law, involves willfully or maliciously setting or causing a fire. Bribery of a witness occurs when someone gives or promises a bribe to a person giving or about to give information to law enforcement with the intent to unlawfully influence that person. Now, he just wanted it to save face, right? Gotti, stop, please. He did that to save face, am I right? Like, it wasn't for, like, because he thought the law was going to get involved. It was because he was trying to save face. So, let's see. Witness tampering under 18 USC blah 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 doesn't require the target to actually be afraid, or the existence of a knowing threat is enough. Forced labor under involves the use of force or physical restraint. Consent, once given, can be withdrawn, turning a situation into forced labor. Ex trafficking has the same legal definition as outlined in counts 2 and 4. Transportation for prostitution is defined the same as in counts 3 and 5. Regarding distribution of narcotics, including the substance named here, government must prove it was done knowingly and intentionally. Distribution means an actual transfer to another person. Possession doesn't require physical custody. Control over the substance is enough. That's broad. That's really broad. For RICO, the statute of limitations is 5 years. Therefore, the governments must prove the enterprise continued beyond 2019. And if they fail to prove this beyond a reasonable doubt, you must find the defendant not guilty. On counts 2 and 4, which is ex trafficking, to transport means to carry or move a person from one place to another. Reckless disregard, such as deliberately ignoring obvious signs, satisfies the legal standard. You must agree unanimously on at least one specific instance of ex trafficking. Counts 3 and 5, which are transportation for prostitution, such as knowingly arranging or facilitating transportation for the purpose of prostitution, even by buying a ticket, is enough. Prostitution doesn't have to be the primary purpose. It's defined as engaging in sexual activity in exchange for money or something of value. Again, you must be unanimous on at least one specific act of transportation. I don't know, man. Lastly, the government must prove that at least one act occurred within the jurisdiction of the Southern District of New York, which includes 8 counties. We're now in the final stretch. Let me leave you with some important instructions as you prepare to deliberate. When considering expert testimony, remember, just because I allowed it in the evidence does not mean that you must accept it as true. It's up to you to decide how much weight, if any, to give it. The testimony of government officials should be treated like that of any other witness. It carries no more or less weight simply because of their position. Witnesses who testified under immunity should be examined with greater caution than other witnesses. Keep in mind that charts, summaries, and demonstrative aids shown during the trial are not evidence and won't be available to you in the jury room. Some witnesses were allowed to use pseudonyms. This should not influence your judgment of their credibility. Evaluate them as you would any other witness. The defendant chose not to testify, which is his legal right. You must not draw any inference from that choice or hold it against him. Voluntary intoxication may, in some cases, affect whether the defendant had the intent required to commit a RICO predicate offense. You may have heard the names of people who were not called to testify. Each side had an equal chance to call all witnesses. Do not speculate about why someone wasn't called or what they might have said. If you took notes, they are for your personal use only. And remember, you are to consider only the evidence and arguments presented within the 4 walls of this courtroom. No outside reading or research is allowed. Do not communicate about this case in any form on social media platforms like X, Instagram, or YouTube, and called Twitter. If you come across anything related to the case, report it to my deputy immediately. Above all, guard against bias, including implicit bias. These unconscious thoughts can affect how we interpret information even when we don't realize it. You will now retire to deliberate. Each of you must make up your own mind after full and fair discussion with your fellow jurors. Your verdict must be unanimous. If you find yourselves divided at any point, do not reveal how you are split. Any communications with the court, including questions or a final verdict, must come from the foreperson and must be in writing. As for the alternate jurors, you are not required to stay, but please provide your phone number to my deputy. You may still be called upon if a replacement is needed or when a verdict is reached. The alternates are jurors 234, 247, 292, 321, and 330, which are those seated in the top row. Please do not read or follow any news coverage related to this trial if any appears. I want to express my deep gratitude for your time, patience, and service over these past 2 months or more for some of you. And before you go, my deputy will share my personal contact details. I'll be happy to give you a tour of the courthouse sometime. You are free to deliberate as long as you feel necessary. If you wish to stay past 5 p.m., that decision is entirely up to you. This is your process. Take the time you need. There's no rush. What matters is that you reach a verdict you all stand by. Okay, so the 12 jurors have now entered the deliberation room to begin weighing in the case. So deliberations officially began at 11:30 today and will continue until the jury either reaches a unanimous verdict or declares a deadlock. The jury selected juror number 5 to be their foreperson. So that's the juror. So then, some minutes ago, the jury has sent a note. They sent a note out. Diddy's lawyers and prosecutors had already returned to the court and went through the note before Combs got the chance to go through it. The judge came in minutes later. The judge says juror 25 may not be able to follow instructions. So there's some kind of beef going on in there, right? The government said it's sensitive, while Agnifilo suggested telling the jury, Agnifilo, I keep saying that, but that it's still early and to alert the court if issues continue. Diddy's mom had loud cheers from Combs supporters as she walked past them into the courtroom. This is Diddy's mom. I'm going to step off the bench now. I want both parties to meet and confer. We'll reconvene at 2 p.m. and I'll decide then how to proceed with this matter. Judge Arun asked if there was an agreed response, to which Agnifilo said no. The government says Slavic had emailed it to Chambers, though it's not on the docket. Judge asked about the defense proposal. Comey said it's in Slavic's email too. The court has been adjourned. Before that, the judge sent the jury a note in response. I received your note. I remind every juror of their duty to deliberate and their obligation to follow my instruction on the law. With that instruction in mind, please continue deliberating. So that's where we're at, y'all. That's where we're at today. So the jury is doing what they do. That is the instruction that the judge gave to the jury, and that's what they're supposed to go on with the information. Like I said, a lot of this stuff, if you're just a simple, just a straight to the point common sense thing, I gotta say, it's an overreach. Like if this was at the state level, I 100% believe that Diddy gets found guilty of, domestic violence and all that other stuff. But to me, it looks like personal use of the drugs, right? Personal use. He was paying them for their time, and then whatever happens. That's what I'm kind of thinking. Because they said that they're not actually escorts, they're just entertainers. So if there's like, hey, you want to go ahead and get it in with Cassie, I mean, who's saying no, right? So that's what it's looking like. Appreciate you, brother. So that's where I'm at. So what do y'all think? Leave comments, like and subscribe, do all the cool things. I appreciate when y'all do that. So thank you again. I got y'all. Verdict watch is on. So I got y'all for the rest of this until we get a verdict, and then up until sentencing. So with that being said, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Do You Hear Me? With Unico Williams. Special, the Diddy trial. I holla.
Thanks for watching. Make sure you follow me on all my social media platforms. Don't forget, every Thursday, the full podcast is on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and mama, I'm on Spotify. Overall 99 ENT bring you videos from Friday all the way to Friday. So be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate it. Again, thank you so much.